Hey, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Majors Live, episode 293 here on TMSNX Radio, themajors.net, also on Facebook Live at TMSNX on Facebook, Periscope, you can find us at TMSNX, and YouTube, youtube.com/themajorstv. Pretty much everywhere, Shawn. But it's going to be an abbreviated show tonight, since we were over on our last show, and we are greatly running out of time. We had technical issues all over the place with our internet connection, and we're on a different night, obviously. So, damn, Shawn, it's been one of those nights.
Yeah, it has been. It was a struggle at first.
It was, but I think
it equaled out. It's been good so far, and
it seems like I'm missing something right now because I think I have everything up. I think I have everything up that I need to have up right now. Yeah, I think we're totally on.
Yeah.
So.
The only important thing, you have your computer still. I don't. I'm using my phone, so.
Yes. So we are good, Shawn.
Mm-hmm.
I think. I'm gonna go back and listen to this though later on and find out that I forgot to.
Yeah, we'll forget something.
I forgot to do something. Something that I needed to click or I needed to load or it wasn't done.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyways, though, tonight, like I said, it's going to be an abbreviated show. We are going to get to a little bit to our fan question, though. Which of the top 3 NBA draft picks will have the best career? That's over on our Twitter page right now at TMSNX Radio. So go ahead and vote on that. But I do want to start off with the main topic of the night, the leadoff, which is where do you draw the line with players and their off-the-field demons? This stems from what actually happened while we were off, Shawn. Oregon State pitcher, what was his name? Luke Heimlich. He was their ace, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Had a big-time MLB career ahead of him. Very highly regarded. Was going to help Oregon State compete for the College World Series, and then all of a sudden, it came out that in August of 2012, he pled guilty to molesting a 6-year-old family member. And this comes from Deadspin. In the wake of the report, Heimlich, who finished the season 11-1, Shawn, 11-1 with a .76 ERA, went undrafted in the MLB draft. And what do they have? Like, how many rounds in the MLB draft do they have?
100 and like.
You get guys. You had Russell Wilson drafted. And albeit he played some baseball in college and he was pretty good. Probably hasn't prior to him getting drafted, didn't touch a baseball for how many years prior to that?
Was it last year or the year before when Texas redrafted him and he actually went to spring training?
Or training camp?
Yeah, training camp. Yeah.
Or spring training?
Yeah, he went to spring
training.
It wasn't last year, it was the year before, I think. He actually went to spring training and he played a little bit in spring training.
But I think the Padres drafted Johnny Manziel, didn't they?
And then you could also too, Colin Kaepernick was even drafted.
Was he drafted?
Yes, I think he was drafted by, I want to say, the Atlanta Braves.
Okay.
Or it was the San Francisco Giants.
But it just goes but that just goes to show, Shawn, that a lot of guys get drafted.
Right.
If you're pitching at Oregon State, you have an 11-1 record with a sub-1 ERA. I mean, that just goes to show the length of the seriousness that is happening with this guy's career.
Mm-hmm.
Luke Heimlich. And let's see here if he released the following statement because he voluntarily left the team, and here's what he had to say. This came This was a statement from him through ESPN. For the past 6 years, I have done everything in my power to demonstrate that I am someone my family and my community can be proud of and show the one person who has suffered the most that I am committed to living a life of integrity, Heimlich said in a statement released by a family friend. This situation has caused great pain to my family members over the years, and I am devastated that they have to relive it all again so publicly. Today, the Oregon State University baseball team is headed to Omaha for the College World Series, something my teammates, my coaches, and I have worked for all year and dreamed about for a lifetime. I'm sad to say I'm not joining them because doing so would only create further distraction for my teammates, more turmoil for my family, and given the high profile of the national championship, direct even more unwanted attention to an innocent young girl. I want to wish my teammates the best. I hope they understand this decision as my family and I continue to work through this together. My hope is to return to OSU next year as a student athlete and continue to earn the trust of my community. So, Shawn, like I said, he went undrafted, all 30 teams, all those rounds, decided not to take this guy. And this is the exact type of guy that we see drafted all the time. Not what happens off the field, but this type of talent. Now, this goes in and brings the question of where do you draw the line when it comes to players playing for your team, players who potentially could play on your team, and those off the field demons, whether it's Mario Karting around town, whether it's beating up your girlfriend or wife, or whether it's molesting a 6-year-old girl when you were a kid yourself. Because it seemed like Major League Baseball has drawn that line with this. We've seen players go out and threaten, spouses. We've seen them go out and, drive their car around drunk. We see them do other things, whether it be drugs or, like I said, alcohol, or having being in possession of a weapon, or Delman Young, for instance, when he throw the bat at the umpire?
Yes.
And he had the anti-Semitic remark in New York too.
Another baseball player that's popping in my head when he said it was, remember Randall Simon?
Yeah.
He did the same thing. Threw the baseball bat at the umpire.
Yep. All those guys eventually came back. You had a guy in Alfredo Simon who was being investigated for rape. Still find a spot on a major league team, and he's still playing Major League Baseball right now. He's back with Cincinnati, right?
He might be in their minor leagues.
Okay, but he's still in he's still in a system. Major League Baseball, at least for this year, drew the line with Luke Heimlich. Shawn,
maybe they're starting to realize, we're representing one of the biggest money-making businesses on this planet by far. Maybe they're starting to realize is like, hey, maybe we can kind of start cleaning this up, and maybe this is what we got to start with. Obviously, I know like you said, there's been so many bad things in the past and all that stuff, but maybe they just starting to realize maybe they're trying to be more of a public figure and do the correct thing. Maybe things are changing, hopefully.
I guess, and that's the thing, Shawn, is say he was drafted. Say he went on to do some big things for whoever it is. Say the Yankees drafted him. And he went on to become the next Andy Pettitte. Is he a lefty?
I don't know.
Hold on, let me see how he's throwing. Yeah, he's a lefty. He's a lefty too. he's a lefty.
Yeah,
he's a lefty that goes 11-1 with a sub 1 ERA. This guy has star written all over him in Major League Baseball, and I'm going to say right now, what if he makes it, Shawn? What if he ended up making it? What if he got drafted by the Yankees, became the next Andy Pettitte, and was dominant dominant.
And that's the thing right now. What we've seen over the past throughout our eyes of our entire lifetime of seeing stuff like this happen and people still make it. You look at, like, I'm not saying they've done it or whatever. Like, for example, the big market teams like New York, Boston. You could even say the Mets too. Some big market like that. LA. They don't. How I see it, they kind of don't care what you do in your personal life or whatever, as long as you make them money and come on the field and do stardom. And that's a big problem.
But they care that. But obviously they care now when it comes to this.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they don't care so much when it's Aroldis Chapman, flashing a gun and being involved in
a thing too. You look at it too. These programs, they can see this. They find out the situation before, obviously, that we do, because they have the right utensils and tools to do that stuff, and they see that, and obviously he's not going to get drafted. Maybe they're gonna let him be an unrestricted free agent, or a free agent, whatever, and they just go pick him up there. They know they can they can get him for cheaper now. And he's still going to produce like that for the next couple years while they're under contract. And, they're going to see that stuff. And obviously, that's what I see, that they're not going to draft him, because if they drafted him, he's going to get paid big bucks, even though... Eventually, even though that situation happened in his... in his past, they did that. So maybe, maybe these owners see that, and maybe they see that you're like, hey, you know what? Maybe you can get your life straight. Maybe you can focus on this, and we get you cheaper, and you can make us more money, even though we're not paying you that much. And maybe they kind of see that to maybe kind of be, I'm not saying it's beneficial. Maybe, I don't know. It's
I see multiple problems with it, Shawn, and one of it...
there's tons of problems.
And one of it... One of it stretches from, wonder if he is successful. Mm-hmm. How do you market a guy like that who was convicted of molesting a young child, a family member for that matter? How do you, and if he is successful, how do you go about capitalizing off of that success with that cloud constantly hanging over you, because it's always going to be something that has to be dealt with in the media. And that's just, in some sense, from a shallow, baseball only standpoint. Right. I mean, if you want to look at this from a moral standpoint, how do you go back and, look at the rest of his family who this affected?
It dramatized all of them. It dramatized the kid to the parents, to even his parents,
and think that, okay, we are giving this kid a ton of money when he went out and did this heinous thing. Yeah. When, again, he was a kid at the time as well, but certainly knew.
But the thing is, how I see it, obviously it's a mental problem. Obviously,
Well, it's a sickness, and that's another problem too, Shawn.
And the thing is, if he did it when he's younger, never had any help or anything, his mind is still there. His mind is still set there that it's gonna possibly happen again.
You know what, Shawn? I'm not convinced that individuals who do this sort of thing, whether you're a pedophile or you're somebody that, consistently cheats on a spouse, especially though if you're a pedophile.
I don't see how they should be rewarded, period.
I don't see why they should be rewarded at all. Not to mention, I've never been convinced that people like that are ever going to recover.
I don't think so.
Or they're ever going to get rid of this sickness that they have. And I've heard it before. I've heard individuals who have been convicted of molesting children come out and say that this is something that they're going to have to deal with for their entire life.
Yes, they will. You're not going to forget. How are you going to forget that?
And you see it, really across the board, because this is, in many ways a mental illness. But it's people who deal with anxiety, though. People who deal with anxiety and people who, have anxiety, that's something that they're never going to get rid of.
Right.
And I'm not saying that people who have anxiety issues and people who are pedophiles. I'm not saying that they're one and the same.
It's an example.
Yeah, it's exactly. There really isn't a whole lot of parallel between.
No.
I'm a guy that deals with anxiety issues, and I know it's something I'm going to have to deal with for my entire life. But somebody who deals with anxiety or depression isn't going to have that same media scrutiny that somebody who molests children is going to have to deal with on a daily basis, and it's albeit their fault. But again, though, it's just where do you draw the line yourself? Because I've come out many times before on the show and have said that I've bombed Penn State for their actions of essentially enabling a guy like Jerry Sandusky to do what he did and get away with what he did for years on end. I will never support Penn State.
No.
I won't support him next year. I won't support him 50 years from now. I never will support that school because of what they did. Where do you draw the line, though, for yourself, Shawn? Would you want somebody like this on your team?
No. We've discussed certain things on the show before when Dorf's been here and you and I. I'm a very hard believer on clean locker rooms, like mentally, like physically, not like actually cleaning, soap and water, whatever. But clean locker rooms, healthiness, all that stuff to, locker room atmospheres, to being on the field, to off the field, leadership skills. I'm huge on that. Serving your community to help that build it better wherever you're at. I don't want that trouble. How I see it, if you have had any of that type of trouble in the past, if I find it before, say, if I was a GM or an owner and I was getting ready to draft you, if I find any of something like that, if you've had any type of, to be honest, like, anger management to obviously this situation here, you're not going to step a foot on my property. It's just, you're never going to do. Obviously, I understand, if it comes to certain, like tickets of driving or something like that, that's workable. But, that stuff can be erased and just forgotten about, but anger management problems, that's never going to go away. Pedophile stuff like that, that's never going to go away. Like you said, you're always going to remember that. There's nothing on this planet or anybody can do to make you not forget about that.
Exactly, Shawn. I think that, for me, I certainly draw the line when we're dealing with pedophilia, and even a guy, even a guy who's been, who's raped somebody or, look, I do believe in second chances, but not when it comes to something like that.
No,
if you're a guy that's had it, if you're an individual that's had problems with alcohol or drugs, or you smoke too much weed, or even if you got behind the wheel when you were drunk, those are things that I can forgive. I can forgive. I can look past it. I can give you a second chance for something like that. When we're dealing with something like this, unless you went out and killed somebody, look, this guy, this Luke Heimlich kid, he probably ruined this girl. He ruined this girl's life.
Yes, there's no doubt about it. This girl's gonna have problems the rest of her life.
She is going to have to deal with the ramifications of what happened to her by a family member for the rest of her life.
That's the thing, is like, you look at all the scenarios for that, this girl's going to have, family issues, to even relationship issues. She's never going to trust the guy the same anymore.
She's going to have her own mental issues.
Yeah, to be honest, I'm like, for, people who've gone through that stuff, they can't even live alone anymore. They can't. It's so much stress and problem, and it sucks.
And I'm not. And
she did nothing wrong.
Shawn, I'm not saying that he shouldn't go out and make a living, but the thing is how is this girl's life going to be made any easier?
Yeah.
if she is sitting at home
and she sees him on TV,
sees him
in the public eye, he's going to be all over. Especially how the talent that he has to be on the field, he's going to be in the spot. He's going to be in everybody's eye, and she's going to see it all the time.
Dealing with her issues that she's dealing with, and then, like you said, Shawn, watching TV, whether he's pitching for the Yankees, the Red Sox, or whoever,
exactly,
seeing him be successful and make all that money. What is she going to think from there on out?
She's never. It's going to ruin her life even more.
Yeah, I think it will be, and I commend Major League Baseball, all 30 teams, for passing on this guy because this guy he doesn't deserve a chance. No, he doesn't. He doesn't. I'm sorry. That's the line I draw with something like this. Look, you get convicted, you plead guilty to molesting a kid. Then I'm sorry. You don't
deserve to be behind bars or something else.
Yes,
no, you didn't. In my view, you shouldn't have the right to become a star. In this country. Even have, in my opinion, you shouldn't even have the right to even be on the same street as me. That's how I see it, and it just bothers me when you see stuff like this and people have gotten away with it where they've come back into a sport or a public, say, media of some sort. That person's gonna see you, hear your name, no matter what, if it's the radio to the internet to TV. You ruin somebody's life. To be honest, in my mind, your life should be ruined. That's how I see it.
No, I'm not. You're not going to get too much argument from me on that,
yeah.
Shawn. You really aren't. Anyways, though, let's go ahead. Like I said, we are over tonight, so we're going to move quickly through the rest of this. Shawn, real quick, bitches and badasses this week. Who's your badass?
My badass actually is the Los Angeles Dodgers. They're 10-0. They just swept the Colorado Rockies, who were off to an amazing start to the season. They're still playing good, but the Dodgers, they've come out and played. They, Clayton Kershaw the other night, oh my gosh, he shut down the Rockies like it was nothing.
Yep, good one. My baddest this week is the Philadelphia 76ers. Went out and got their guy, Markelle Fultz, in the NBA draft. Maybe the last piece to the process of stockpiling these draft picks and getting young talent in return for it. They got the best player in the draft. They got a guy who's a high floor, high ceiling type of guy. So Philadelphia 76ers is definitely my badass of the week. Your bitch, Shawn. Go ahead.
This was kind of a tough one for me. This week has been there's been a whole lot. Obviously, we're from the Detroit area. I'm kind of trying to stay away from that, obviously, from our last show. This has been very stressful. I don't want to talk about it that much. But, I stayed with baseball. Seattle Mariners. I'm going with them as my bitch. In my opinion, how I seen it, King Felix, they've ruined his career. This kid coming in his early years, oh my gosh, I think he started pitching when he was 19 for them. Phenomenal. And then they just never just built around him. Why would this guy saw the potential? This guy was obviously in his younger years. He won the Cy Young when he was he went 14 and 13 or something like that.
A crazy career.
Yeah. So, you see this and it bothers me, You, all these good players you've brought in, and you just can never build around them. You built around your offense, but why wouldn't you build around a pitching what you had there? This guy was a stud. To be honest, you ruined his career. I'm my bitch is the Seattle Mariners. It's just they were just god awful, and they're 500 right now, and their offense is ridiculous good, but they have no pitching. They can't pitch. They can't do anything.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's unfortunate. I mean, the Tigers, we talked about them. We talked about them in the last show that they are in a similar situation, considering, in their sense, they're doing with two different players. They're doing with Miguel Cabrera, and they're doing with Justin Verlander. Justin Verlander was, arguably one of the best righties of a generation. Miguel Cabrera, one of the, maybe the best pure hitter of a generation. Maybe the best pure hitter of all time.
Right.
But yeah, and they have wasted both of them. We've seen that a lot in Detroit.
Yes,
though, with a lot of different players. Anyways, my bitch this week, sticking on the Detroit Tigers, are the Detroit Tigers. getting swept by the Seattle Mariners, losing 2 of 3 to the San Diego Padres in a month that wasn't difficult or shouldn't have been difficult, and was really a pivotal month perhaps for this season. They have a ton of talent offensively. When you're going out there and you're trotting out Miguel Cabrera, JD Martinez, Justin Upton, Ian Kinsler on a nightly basis, you would think you'd be better than just about than barely out of last place in the American League, which is where they're at. I mean, heading into today, they were in last place. They had the worst record in the American League. Now they have the second worst record in the American League. So yeah, they had to come out. They had to be strong in the month of June, and they did precisely the opposite.
Nothing.
Anyways, Shawn, last thing tonight, though. Winners and losers from the NBA draft. I'm going to go ahead down the line here. The biggest winner, I'm going to go ahead and say the Philadelphia 76ers because they traded up to get Markelle Fultz. They got Markelle Fultz. They got their guy. The process is probably over. And I think the Philadelphia 76ers are finally going to come out of the gate and be a team that is actually going to be doing some things. After all those years of stockpiling picks, tanking, whatever. Here we go. Philadelphia 76ers, all that young talent they have. Maybe we'll be seeing them put on display in full force this year. So, especially with Markelle Fultz too. I think that guy is a
he's an athlete.
He's an athlete. He is phenomenal. There's not a lot of things that he doesn't do very, very good. So, I'm excited to see him play. I think NBA fans altogether should be excited to see him play. Biggest loser, Chicago Bulls. I don't know what the hell they're doing. The Chicago Bulls seemingly are a team that has kind of had you scratching your head for the past few seasons, whether it was going out and signing Rondo to that deal, going out and signing Dwayne Wade to a deal, and then they go and they give up Jimmy Butler for Chris Dunn, who was a huge stretch at 5 last year, and Levine, who isn't any game changer at all unless there's going to be like a dunk contest. And then they move up 9 picks to draft, was it Lauri Markkanen?
That made no sense to me.
They don't get Andrew Wiggins in return. They don't get any extra number 1s in return. That's what they get for a guy who is one of the better players in the entire league in Jimmy Butler. And the face of their franchise.
And in this draft, looking at that, you could have gotten like a good point guard in Dennis Smith. That was a guy that I felt that would have been a good fit for the Bulls. They lack in the front court there like that. They need that. That was a perfect guy. I thought that would have went really good there.
Speaking of which, Shawn, the high risk, high reward of this draft goes to the Dallas Mavericks selecting Dennis Smith Jr. He may be the most explosive player out of the draft, but he's very inconsistent. I think it's a high risk, high reward type of move that Dallas Mavericks have made. It's a gutsy move. It's a move that I personally like to see, especially if you're a team like the Dallas Mavericks. I don't think the Dallas Mavericks are going to be making, they're not going to be making a run at the championship next year. But if they can go and get a guy like Dennis Smith Jr. and he pans out, he is everything that he can be, then there you go. There you go. They're going to be set for the next few years. Because that's, in a sense, that's what it all starts out with in the NBA, is getting that one guy who can help attract other guys to your team, which is exactly what Golden State, exactly what Cleveland have been doing the past few years. So I like that. Dennis Smith Jr. definitely. Honorable mention for the biggest winner has to go to the Golden State Warriors, snagging Jordan Bell, Tons of potential, especially on the defensive side of the ball. And getting this via the Chicago Bulls, who once again lose out. Chicago Bulls, though, seriously. I just don't get it. I don't get it at all.
Yeah, I totally agree. One guy on this draft that I think is actually going to make an impact on the team is Jason Tatum
for Celtics.
Yeah, I think that's a huge boost for them. Having Isaiah there with how good he did last year. I think this guy could give him something to give that boost to him. I think this guy has the potential to have a pretty solid season or career. Right. I think he's one guy that I saw. I was like, that's actually a pretty good pick.
Shawn, we ran the poll. It's still going on right now. Out of Markelle Fultz, Lonzo Ball, and Jason Tatum, who would you think is going to? Who do you think is going to have the best career out of those three?
I'm like, obviously, what I just said. I think Jason Tatum, to be honest, is going to have the better because he's going into a team that is out of those top three. They're obviously the best team out of those three. I think he's going to come in and have the better impact going in for us because the other guys are going to actually have to work to rebuild those programs again. And I think Tatum's going to have a lot less because obviously, you've seen what the Boston Celtics have been able to do these past couple of years. Mm-hmm. And I think that's going to take a lot off of him to make him have an easier career and be more successful.
Well, he would be third so far in voting.
Really?
He's just behind Markelle Fultz. Everybody is thinking Lonzo Ball is going to have the best career out of these three.
My gosh, what's wrong
He's at 43% of the vote right now with 17 hours and 42 minutes left. So go ahead and vote, everybody. Let us know what you think. Quickly here, Tim Tebow.
Yeah, buddy.
We had
Dorf, this is for you.
We had to mention it. Tim Tebow, did he get promoted to high A?
Yes.
Look. Where are the Mets? Are they 12 games out right now?
They are going to be selling very soon.
Okay. It's seriously time to start thinking whether or not you want to bring Tim Tebow
I would, seriously, to be honest, I would have Tim Tebow up here probably by the mid-July.
Again, why the hell not?
Exactly. You want to make money, don't you?
You want to make money.
You will fill those stands so quickly.
Oh my God.
I'm telling you right now, when he gets called up, I may try to find the closest. Say if they come to Cincinnati, or even have a game in Cleveland, Chicago. The White, if they're playing the Cubs, Cincinnati
so
Reds.
You're saying mid-July would be the call up.
Yeah. So see what teams they are. So I will drive to the closest stadium to me so I can watch Tim Tebow play.
Okay, hold on.
And I will buy Dorf's ticket and take him with me.
Dorf isn't gonna go.
I know he wouldn't go.
Let's see. So mid-July. Let me bring up the full schedule here. July. So St. Louis is getting closer.
I would drive to St. Louis.
You would drive to St. Louis. Let's see, in August, nothing. They're at Philadelphia in August from the 10th to the 13th.
I would go in September. I don't even care.
Cincinnati at the end of August, from August 29th to the 31st.
We might be taking a road trip.
They're in Cincinnati again, just like a couple of series after that. Oh, wait, no. They're at home against Cincinnati, sorry. At the Cubs, September 12th, 13th, and 14th. That's in the middle of the week, though.
I will take a day off. What part of the middle? Is it Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday?
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, yeah.
Dang, I was hoping it'd be a Monday. I could take that Monday off.
You can't take Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday?
I can, but it's just going to be harder for work.
Let's see what else. And that's pretty much it.
It looks like I'm going to Cincinnati.
Shawn.
Let's do this.
Let's try to do the Cubs.
I'm down with the Cubs, too.
Let's try to do the Cubs.
And then there'll be
because that's an easy 4-hour drive.
Yeah, it is.
Let's see,
Cincinnati's about a 4-hour drive.
Is it a 4-hour drive?
Yeah.
I thought it's like more like 5 or 6.
I'll pull it up right now. I'm pretty sure it's pretty close to 4 hours.
Oh my God.
Either or,
Okay, how about we do this too? The first day that he's called up, we go out and get the shirts.
Okay, and then we wear it to our next show, and then don't tell Dorf. Don't tell Dorf. And then
because we know he's not going to listen to the replay.
Exactly, he's not going to. Oh, that's awesome.
You still have your Mets hat, right?
Of course I do. Cincinnati, Ohio is keep loading. 3 hours and 53 minutes away.
3 hours away?
Yep, it's only 220 something miles.
Huh.
It's actually closer than Chicago.
Is it?
Yes.
All right, so it's gonna be one of those two series.
I'm down. We get to see Joey Votto, or we get to see Chris Bryant and Anthony Rizzo.
Man, that'd be great. So what do you do? Just make a day out of it?
I'm down.
Go drive down, drive back?
I'm down. Let's do this. Or we could just, if we have to, we crash and get a hotel and come back the next morning.
That's very tempting.
I know.
To go see Tebow play?
I know. I would be the happiest man alive.
God, you know what would suck, though, if we go down there and he ends up being like...
Oh, he doesn't play that day?
Yeah.
Oh, that would suck. Then we might take a extra day off and stay the next day.
Oh, my God.
And the funny thing... Oh, my gosh. We gotta somehow... If we can trick Dorf into coming with us... Oh, wouldn't that be awesome? Say, hey, say we figure today, say if we go to the Cincinnati game, we say, hey, we're going to Wrigley Field. We got tickets. We want you to come with us. We're going to go there for a couple days, but we go to Cincinnati instead.
Yeah, well, he wouldn't he wouldn't fall for that. When instead of taking 94 west, we're sitting there on 75 south.
We can throw some Benadryl or something like that and just drink or pass out, all right?
Yeah, there you go, Dorf. Just go ahead and take a little nap. We'll wake you up when we get there. Pulling into the Great American Ballpark.
He'll be like, "What's going on?" And we just take off our jacket. We have a Tim Tebow shirt. I'm like,
oh man,
that would be fantastic. If somehow we could trick him into going, oh, that'd be awesome.
He wouldn't be happy about that.
No, he would be so mad.
Anyways, a couple of other things to close out tonight. WWE is negotiating with LeVar Ball to be on tomorrow night's Raw. You know what? I kind of like LeVar Ball.
I think he's going to be entertaining.
I think the guy is fun. As long as he's not playing on my team.
Oh god. Yeah.
I think the guy's entertaining as all hell.
No, it's true.
I mean, come on. I mean, is that what sports is supposed to be? Is it supposed to be really fun?
You look like Gronk in the NFL,
Oh, I love Gronk.
I do too.
I love it. That's why I'm kind of up on this whole Tebow thing too, because it's fun.
No, it's true. Yeah,
it's fun. It's fun seeing. It's especially in New York too, where there's going to be that frenzy surrounding it.
Yeah.
Can you imagine a LeVar Ball if Lonzo got drafted by the Knicks or the Brooklyn Nets?
Oh my!
Oh my God! I mean, it's already be a bit of a frenzy in LA, but nothing like New York.
Oh,
nothing like New York. So. Like I said, I think it's fun. Speaking of LA, Chris Paul and Blake Griffin have both opted out and are going to be free agents. I think everybody could have kind of seen that coming.
Yeah.
And then the Mavs have declined the option on Dirk, and it looks like they're going to resign him to a smaller deal. So, anyways.